Today, we decided to stay on board to explore the ship a little more, and of course, to check out all those beautifully decorated doors and do some pixie dusting ourselves. We started the day with room service, which is included in your fare, and we ended up having a full three-course meal. Can you imagine a three-course meal as room service? We began with a creamy tomato soup, served with toasted grilled cheese. Then, of course, we had the chicken tenders with fries. And last but not least, the chocolate truffle cake. Rich, decadent, and honestly delicious. I have to say, I really enjoyed that tomato soup. our final night, we had dinner in the beautiful royal court. For our appetizer, Christophe had the Rockefeller oysters and I had the Parmigiano filled eggplant. It was rolled up, really nice, a perfect starter. Christophe, of course, chose again a light salad with just some tomato and spring onions. And I, again, had the soup. I don't quite remember which one it was. I think a French onion soup. It had a strong, rich flavor, quite an intense bouillon. For our main course, Christophe had the venison, served with potato croquettes and red cabbage. And I couldn't choose again. I really wanted a lobster, but it came with mashed potatoes, and I thought it would have been better with spaghetti. So in the end, I just got both. For dessert, we first sat way chair, but then I tried this delicious lava cake with vanilla ice cream. It was so good, so decadent, and surprisingly not too heavy, so I didn't share in the end. Christophe enjoyed his warm apple pie served with vanilla cream on the side. And finally, I want to thank our wonderful servers, Joseph and Amayara. They remembered everything about us and they never missed a detail. They were amazing, especially Anayara, who was so enthusiastic and kind. Also, a big thank you to our head server Vladimir for helping us switch tables one night. He went out of his way for us. Royal Court was open for lunch, so we decided to go there instead of Cabanas. Christophe started with smoked salmon tartare, while my starter was, of course, a soup. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was pumpkin soup. It looked a bit too light for that, though whatever it was really creamy and delicious. Christophe then had the kimchi burger, which turned out a bit disappointing. It was quite dry, and so were the vegetable chips served with it. There was kimchi both on the burger and on the side. For my main course, I wasn't really hungry, so I asked for an appetizer as a main dish, and they just gave me some extras. I had the fried wontons, and they were absolutely delicious and crispy. For dessert, Christophe made a really good choice. I had a taste of it. The apple cinnamon fritters with caramel sauce and vanilla ice cream. And I finally had the Mickey ice cream bar, because I hadn't had one the entire cruise yet. But I was a bit disappointed because they were different, the American ones. I didn't know that they were made with dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate, so I must say I prefer the ones we get in Paris. We got ready for dinner at the Enchanted Garden, a beautiful restaurant where you can see the flowers open up during your dinner. For starters, Christophe started with prosciutto. It was served with a little bit of jam and a little piece of bread. I had some spicy shrimp on Mexican rice. Well, it was called spicy, but it was very doable for everyone, I guess. And then there was a little mix up in the plates. So Christophe ordered a veal, but maybe you can see it. This is turkey. And we knew it immediately because when the waiter brought this plate, he said, "Happy Thanksgiving." And as you can see, I had the steak. And finally, we also got the veal we initially ordered. But I must say that turkey is some good turkey. And maybe probably that was the mistake because everyone orders the turkey apparently. I wasn't very hungry that evening, so I skipped dessert. But of course, Christophe went for it and he enjoyed a nice warm cobbler with some ice cream. And for our final night, we were lucky enough to get a reservation at Remy. And we started, as you can see, with cocktails prepared by the waiter at our table. We asked for non alcoholic cocktails, which wasn't a problem. They were prepared with love and they were light and very enjoyable. We filmed every section of the menu card in detail, so please pause to read at your own pace. We started with these very delicious appetizers. One was a tartare of Wagyu beef, and the other was a biscuit with Comté cheese. Then we got another appetizer, some light vegetables marinated in sudashi, a citrus from Japan. Here you see the three different, very delicious butters we got served with our bread. Our first course, where you can see Christophe being served with a hiramasa. I got different textures of tomato, all prepared differently. I even got the water of the tomato, which was also infused with celery. That was for me a little bit too special, but there were some very nice dishes there as well. Here you see the next course. For me, the rock crab. It was served with a yuzu sauce, so it had some really nice citrus flavors. Here you can see the toothfish. It was seared on the plancha, so it was crispy on top and tender underneath. Here you see the Norwegian king crab topped with fine layers of cucumber. And here you can see the lobster tail. It was seared in lobster butter, and on the side it was served with a potato filled with lobster and the lobster sausage, and he even adds some lobster bisque. So it was called Hommage à mon papa, which means to honor his father. So with this dish, the chef could honor his father, and I must say it was the most delicious dish of the menu. Here you see the tarbot. It was served with pearl onions that were cooked in a mussel foam, and you see that he also dresses the dish with a yellow wine sauce. The wine was a French wine that was aged 6 to 7 years in a barrel, which gives it a nice smoky flavor, and it also balances out the dish between the saltiness of the fish and the sweet flavors of the onions. Here we have the pork dish. It was Berkshire pork, and it was glazed with a rhubarb glaze and grilled on the plate, and it was served with seared broccoli on a spicy puree. If I'm not mistaken, it was spiced with jalapeno, so the puree wasn't really my thing because I don't really care for jalapeno. The pork, however, was really soft and melted like butter in the mouth. As you can guess, we shared everything. But for the main course, we added an extra piece of beef. So on my plate on the left, you see the range farm beef. On the right side, we had that extra piece of Japanese Miyazaki Wagyu beef. And as you can imagine, it was delicious. And then on the side of Christophe, you see the USA Wagyu beef. It is raised in Idaho, and it was also very delicious, very tender. And this was served with some onion caviar, and on top, he covered it with the sauce that was made with the same wine as we got in the turbot. On the side, you see potato fondant that is covered in a cottage cheese foam. Peanuts, peanuts, and peanuts. And actually, I don't like peanuts. But you know what? I loved this dessert. It was peanut flavor all around, but never the texture of a peanut, which is the thing I don't like. So it was actually really great. It was served with a warm vanilla reduction. They added some peanut foam, and on the side, you see also we had a vanilla ice cream that was also covered in roasted peanuts. Um, and it was really delicious. And it was not too sweet. And here we have the chocolates, considered to be the best chocolate of the world. It was called Valhora Nigambu chocolate. Inside, we had layers of chocolate cake filled with chocolate mousse. And on the side, we had a caramel ganache with a caramelized clementine and some spicy rum ice cream with crème anglaise. You can imagine chocolate with citrus flavors. That is absolutely delicious. And we finish with this French tradition of the gourmandise, little small bites to enjoy afterwards. We must say we were full, so full, but we got to take them home with us. So that was great as well that we could enjoy it after. So here you can see some pralines, some candy, and citrus tart. I really, really enjoyed Remy. It was the food in Palo was great. Don't get me wrong, but this was fancier. This was much fancier. It was like we were eating in a Michelin star restaurant. Some things were really special in flavor, but most dishes were actually incredible. And I really hope we can do this again someday. Maybe this will not be our best video, but I hope it comes across that we had a very good time. We loved the cruise and we are looking forward to a next one. And if it's in Europe, it probably won't be the fantasy again, but then it will be the dream. And I'm wondering about that one as well. So I hope to see all of them one day. And I hope you enjoyed our video. Just one more thing I need to show you because you saw us pixie dusting in the video. So I also want to share the pixie dust that we received from all the good people on the cruise. And thank you to those people who went to the trouble of coming to our room and leaving something behind in our little fish extender. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. And if you're one of those people of the pixie dusting, please let me know in the comments.
Bye.